pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting to order. This is an agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Bill to approve the minutes and the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Canvas 2018 drainage election.
Well, we had quite the election here. We did have one problem with one of they voted for the wrong people, so the trustee drain is going to have a meeting to appoint somebody. So.
Big turnout.
Do employees have a $50,000 life insurance? When did that stop?
It's 10.
2010?
No, it's 10,000.
Oh, 10,000.
And it's always been
I was
10,000.
gonna say, I remember it was 20,000.
Okay. Will he ever get that? Is the state?
Yeah. This one. Got it.
So which district do we have an issue?
It's the one with Norm Holland and Sue Mathis and
That's by Thompson.
So they have two candidates?
they wrote in the wrong person. They wrote in the people that were already there and didn't write in the one that was up. So they need to have a meeting and appoint someone for that third seat.
Since there was no votes for anybody that was eligible for election.
Right.
So we approve that as is?
I would approve it minus District 12 is what I would do, I guess.
I guess I can make a motion to approve the canvassing of the drainage elections except for DD 12 because of the discrepancy.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Will. I don't know why I keep calling you Willie. Bill, to approve the 2018 training elections with the exception of DD 12. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
So we still sign it and then we'll put a note with it.
Yeah.
All right. Consider approval for the Atkins purchase of election equipment.
This is the actual contract this week.
Last week we just approved. Going after the contract.
It's a 3-year, no interest.
I'll give you 2 years to pay for it.
What's the yearly cost on pictometry? Off the top of your head.
30.
I was going to say 30,000 was what rang a bell with me. charge of she makes out the bus driving schedules for the kindergarten. She pick up pictures of the houses and everything, so when they have substitutes, they can recognize the house besides.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Atkins for the purchase of election equipment.
I'll second it.
Motion by Bill, second by Terry to approve the contract with Atkins for the purchase of election equipment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, discussion with possible action to demand a hearing for One Pig E LLC to stop the final approval of the permit.
Well, this is, would be the final step if we wanted to take it, as far as, having a meeting with the DNR and the EPA. I don't know whether it's worth going after. I don't even know whether the place will be a problem.
Three of us or so?
It would be all three with it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you'll go ahead.
Oh, no, it would be the final step if we wanted to try and stop that, but, I don't know if, it's worth the effort as far as, there's really no violation other than the fact that it's close to the golf course. So, did I do you'd like to say, or no? It would just be a hearing before the EPA and the DNR.
EPC.
Or EPC, is it?
That would have it down to Des Moines, Mason City, or
Modeling.
And it's, I'm not that against hog setups, but, I think I don't think I'd want to take that step, so.
I'm not necessarily against them. I'm not against them also. But if we're going to move towards trying to get local control of them, I wonder if this isn't a step that we should take. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's my firm belief that the state should not be in control
No,
of where these things go. And,
people making the decisions should be the people that live around them.
right. They've met the major,
Oh,
you guys have done everything right by law, so I mean, it's gonna get approved, but I'm assuming.
I don't think we have real grounds to, I mean, they meet all the parameters as far as, I mean, and I'm sure they'll take care of it as good as anybody takes care of a hog setup, but, the only thing would be is to where we can make the local control would be the only reason to do it.
And therefore, I think we should, I'll take the opposite view, I think we should, so that, and I'm gonna lobby Ted and Dennis, to bring this back up next year. It's too late this year, but, they could possibly throw back in our face, oh, you proved it, you proved them anyways, so.
Yeah. And I guess we denied one last time and we approved one too. Just the one we approved was, more of a remote location, I guess.
And just brief, the only reason is because there's been opposition to it, that's the only reason. I don't know.
And this piece of property is the only piece of property you guys own that meets the matrix, is that it?
It's the only one I have access to at this point.
So the question is, if you wanted to take the next step, who would be the person to go down and make that casing at that hearing?
Bill's district, but he's not necessarily for it, so I guess it'd have to be somebody that, and again, I could go down there. And I don't want to prolong this thing either. I mean, this is,
Who are you gonna hire to represent you? Who's gonna draft the brief and everything else that needs to go?
I would assume it would be your county attorney.
it's probably not worth it.
You know, it may not be a problem, it may be far enough away, it may not be a problem, but the only way to find out is to build the thing, you know, it's kind of like, we gotta pass this thing, we can figure out what's in it, you know.
Well, you know what, I'm not even concerned about that, in a sense, and I know you are,
Yeah.
and rightfully so.
You're more
But they've
concerned.
met the matrix, you know,
Yeah.
and so by state law, they can build it, and we operated under laws, so.
Yeah.
You're probably right, Bill, we probably just should drop it.
And I think what you talked about, or what, I think you brought it up, or somebody brought it up about talking to Ted and Dennis, that I think this is a good case to bring up to why we need something different.
Well, you know, as more and more of these sites go up, unfortunately, all the really remote locations are already taken up, you know, I think most of them. Or they don't meet, which, you mean, I would be, you know, probably get in trouble for saying this, but I would be, you know, I don't, there's pieces of ground that they own that are in other locations that I wouldn't have a problem with them putting them there, because nobody wants there to pollute the area they're in, and the fines are so great for doing silly stuff that I don't think they would ever, there's no incentive for anybody to do it. And, I mean, I wish they could build them on their other locations so there wouldn't be this problem.
So what's the separation you have to have between hog buildings? I mean, from somebody else's?
3/4 of a mile is what it is off the top of my head. I don't know that specifically because it's not something I've had to address too drastically. But then separation distances from incorporated areas, separation distances from active businesses, from other houses, from other properties, from waterways, drainage districts, or drainage ditches.
I'm just thinking about current ones that are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, you know, if we could, you know, if we're gonna have more, if we can't have more with those type of thing.
Yeah.
But then the other problem is where do you deal with the waste?
Yeah, the manure, it
Goes a little farther away.
you'd have to, and you lose points for having to transport it to your other properties? Is that, I mean?
I do not.
Yeah, because it seems like to me that that's, even though it's a little hard on secondary roads, but, transporting the, you know, I assume you're gonna spread manure on your other properties, or it's all gonna be right there?
The goal is to have it all right there. There's significant cost to haul
Yeah.
approximately 1.2 million gallons worth of something somewhere else,
Yeah. Well,
as you well know.
yeah.
So once we approved by like, no, they were gonna inject everything through, flexible lines.
That would be my goal.
Well, there's a way around this, I could make a motion and it could die for lack of second. Unless you want.
Yeah, either that or
It's either that or just forget it.
just forget it. Okay. I mean, yeah, I would like to make the point at the state that we should have more control, but is this the right way to do it?
Yeah.
Or would it be just better to?
Well,
Because they're not the ones that make those, you know, changes in this budget.
It's the legislature's doing.
like in a motion made, we'll move on to 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Scott.
Morning. I was just going to remind you that our secondary road department auction is April 7th. So coming right up. And so hopefully we have a good turnout for that and good weather. We're trying to work between the weather to get everything ready for the auction and everything like that. So next big thing on our calendar here, other than the snow event.
You end up with a lot of timbers.
Yeah, I think market estimated 10, 12 bridges worth of lumber. So that's a big stack.
Hopefully there's still a good market for it.
I would sure think so. We got that and a maintainer, 2 trucks, some pickups, some old cars from the sheriff's department, and miscellaneous things.
Is the scooter on there?
I think Dave and Doug were talking about that, so likely.
Which scooter is that?
Oh, there's a scooter in the basement of the LAC.
Yeah, you did see that underground.
It's not specifically listed in the sale bill,
It
but
could have been a very large draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know what
I know what kind it is.
Just know it's been a big deal. Everybody wants it, so.
It might be something, if we're gonna do it, they should post it on Facebook or something at least, and get a few more people at the sale for it.
Get a difference of $300 to $500.
Because our public safety center Facebook page, so less people follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That'd be a good way.
All right, you guys got anything? We'll move on to the budget.
payroll on it. Plans and specs for, is that what you said? Alright, I got a final plan set here for you for, this is a bridge replacement project on the west side of Newton Township, Section 16. As you know, we have 6 bridge projects planned for this summer, and 4 of them will be done in-house by our own crews. This is one of the 2 that will not. This one will be done by a contractor because it has a federal aid component. This job will be our last federal aid project, and the future bridge projects through the state will be SWAT projects. So they'll have a little bit different requirements and a quicker turnaround schedule for development and everything like that. It's going to be a good deal. Still waiting to hear all the final details, but it's all shaping up to be an efficiency for our department and our projects, and hopefully will save us money too. So this project is to replace the bridge with a twin 10x10 box culvert. We're bidding precast and cast in place alternates. No, excuse me, the Parent 69 one we're bidding alternates. This one we're just bidding precast option because for some reason the DOT standards, the cast in place option has flared end walls, whereas the precast is straight. And if you flare them in a very deep ditch, that means a lot more grading work to be done. So we're omitting that alternate in these plans. This neighborhood will get a lot of bridges replaced, well, and has in the last couple of years and will in the next few years. Is on DD1, so we have coordinated the elevations with Jacobson Westergaard and their project. I think that covers the big bullet points on the project. You have any questions about it? Bid date is July 17th of this year and will be done this fall, late summer, fall. So if approved, I'll take all 3 of your signatures on the cover page.
Okay, a motion?
I'll make that a motion to approve the plans and specs for bridge replacement in Section 16.
I'll second that. Motion by Terry, second by Mike to approve the BRS County 9568 8J95 bridge replacement. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. WCTA permits.
WCTA submitted a permit to put in some fiber optic from the north side of Scarville to the south. A very small project in relation to most of their submittals. And asking for your approval today.
I know some of the board members are looking at this a little further. You better.
Want me to make a motion on that?
Yeah, somebody.
I'll make a motion to approve the utility accommodation permit for WCTA Scarborough.
I'll second it.
Motion by Terry, second by Bill to approve the utility accommodation permit for WCTA. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Take a signature from you, Mike, and Carla.
She's here.
Telepathy.
Yes, that's been all about the
No, we were watching, so.
or not watch.
I don't know if we have anything that's not on the agenda, so.
I don't. We'll move on to the public hearing for DD 21.
So what I'd like to do is do the report and the landowners come in on the same day for the annexation and the reclass of 21. So I would like that to be May 15th for the annexation report at 9:15.
Okay.
So another time for, what is it?
And then the reclass will be at 9:20. And then for number 11, the public hearing for the reclass report will be at 9:35.
35, you said?
9:35, and that'll be for Lat 5. And then Lat 7 will be at 9:45.
What was the last slide?
Lat 7, 311 Lat 7. Because those are the two that I want to get billed out.
We're on 311, we're on 21.
We've already passed that.
Well, we have to make motions, but
Oh.
that's fine, go ahead.
I think we need to stick to 21 first.
Sorry.
Okay, so 21,
Take a motion to,
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing date for the annexation report on DD 21 for May 15th at 9:15.
and then is there also reclass involved with that?
Do we want to make it the same motion?
Nope, that'll be number 10.
Okay, all right.
I'll second that. Motion made by Bill, seconded by myself to set the public hearing date on DD 21, May 15th, 9:15. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I'll make a motion to set the public hearing date for reclassification report on DD 21 at May 15th at 9:20.
I'll second that.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Terry to set the public hearing date for reclass on DD 21 at 9:20, May 15th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Make a motion to set the public hearing for reclass on DD 311 Lat 5 at 9:35 on May 15th. All in favor? Second.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Terry to set the public hearing date for reclass on DD 311 Lat 5. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the same for Lat 7 at 9:45 on 15.
I'll second it.
Motion by myself, seconded by Bill to set the public hearing date for reclass on DD 3-11 Lat 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
sheriff's department had another big purchase. What was that for?
Electronic engineering to outfit a new car.
Oh, to outfit a car. All right.
I'm assuming that's the one you meant.
Yes.
Okay.
Did it say it just said equipment on that?
Yeah, because it's equipment that they're putting in the vehicle.
Yeah. All right.
I can make a motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims.
I'll second it.
Motion by Terry, second by Bill to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Minutes.
Okay, look at that.
So that was open forums.
Is it still open for me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's open forum. Anybody who wants to say anything? Anybody want to say anything?
Let's have the weekly spiel here.
I would like to stress the importance of all county employees and citizens of Winnebago County to contact Senator Guth and Representative Gassman regarding fully funding the backfill for the commercial industrial rollbacks.
It was indicated at the meeting last Friday, the governor might be a good person
To contact
she
as
does
well.
that.
Yes.
She's soft on that.
Well, it was former Governor Branstad who promised that they would backfill that for a long time. 3 years is a long time.
Discussion with possible action regarding DD5, LAT 5. We'll give the floor to Elliot. You can state what the NRCS is, NRCS, yeah, has told you and where you want to go from here.
Yeah, I guess, like I said last week, the NRCS said that that private ditch that's dug there doesn't affect anything. According to their eyes, it's fine. But we couldn't continue with the ditch like was in the proposal and this year plan. So then I guess option B, they're putting that new tile the whole way. And that Andy spelled out in his book here for that new main job.
And do you have objection to that?
No.
Andy?
NRCS didn't have any objections to the ditch.
No, I mean, not to go on with the ditch. My private ditch is fine, but we couldn't continue with the ditch.
Utilizing it for the drainage district, you mean?
Right. Right.
So we have to
How are you gonna stop it?
repair you'd have to repair the line that was always there.
Okay. Okay.
Is that what we're saying?
Right, put a whole new line in, whole new tile
Replacement.
replacement.
Do we have that in writing from the NRCS?
I don't have anything. Do you have anything in writing from them?
I don't have anything right, he just told me a verbal for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who did you talk to?
I should brought his name, he's from Algona, the head guy for the area.
Anybody know who that would be offhand?
Brian something, I think. I just talked to him not too long ago.
So Andy, would you give us your, what you inspected of the tile? Good, bad?
Yeah. What we found was, you know, there was a report.
So page 3.
Yeah. On bottom of page 3 on the summary there, I identified 795 feet of the original tile was in good condition, which is essentially from DD5 main ditch and 795 feet upstream to where it ended up getting destroyed due to the private ditch for 560 feet. And then the upper...
And what was the condition of the tile there? The ones that the tile had been destroyed?
I don't know what the condition was. It's gone. I don't know if I'm understanding.
Well, I guess my question is, the tile had been working. What you inspected, what you did get to inspect, what was the condition of that tile?
The bottom 795 feet was in good condition, and what was remaining upstream, the upper end, looked like it was probably all junk, all damaged and beyond usage.
Is there any way to tell besides the holes you dug of what you thought was good? Could any of that been bad too? I mean, you only dug up, what, 5 spots?
Yeah, we dug up maybe 5 spots total. Like I said, the stuff downstream, the downstream 795 feet, what we did dig up there and push the tape through, the sewer tape through, things appeared like they were in good condition. And then everything else to the upstream side that we could get at did not look to be very good condition. There's some of the tile looked like maybe it was okay in the very upper end, but it was underwater, so I can't say for certain. So it was definitely, a lot of it was crushed and plugged and everything else on the upper 715 feet. And we did not get a look at the tile underneath the road. That may or may not be in good condition.
Any idea how the elevation is doing? Had frost pushed it up any at all? At where the good and the bad was?
More than likely the upstream end, it was so shallow, you know, I'm sure frost pushes it around all the time.
Because if we were to fix this and we left the bottom 795 feet where it was and hook onto that and go forward, are we going to get the depth we need, or does it have to be replaced from the ditch?
I think I was, let's see. Yeah, that was option 1 of the recommendations, was to replace the whole length. We could make a decision on the part going underneath the road once we got there. That'd be a secondary road cost, but if it was in decent condition, we could leave it and just connect onto it. But it was recommended to replace it with 12-inch at a flatter slope, mostly to gain just a little bit more cover on the very upper end. The cover was fine on the bottom end, but it was very, very shallow on the very upper end. Even with this recommendation, it's still more shallow than a guy would like. It just, people have to be careful farming over top of it to go with that.
So in light of that, would it make sense to replace the whole thing then?
Correct.
And that's probably what should have been done to start with?
Not necessarily. You could have probably, if you wanted to keep things as close to the original as it was, you could have replaced that upper end. You'd still end up with things being a lot more shallow, because I'm not gaining a whole lot of cover, but I am gaining some by starting at the open ditch.
But that wouldn't be a wise decision for us, because machinery's only gotten heavier, so we could be in there fixing broken tile constantly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the more cover is going to help, and the fact that the other 500 and some feet got torn out that may have been in good condition, you're over the halfway point of tile needing to be replaced, so you might just as well, in my opinion, would be to go ahead and replace it all if you want to maintain a tile system.
But my point, that should have been done originally anyway. If the ditch wasn't dug, we should have replaced the whole thing. It was a 1914 tile, I think. So I guess I would think that we would replace the whole thing. Let's go back to 10 years ago. Should have been done. So
10 years ago, I don't know what happened.
No, I know that. What I'm saying is, if this came up 10 years ago, before the ditch was dug, it would have been the smart thing to replace the whole thing, correct? Being the tile was so old.
I guess it wouldn't have hurt anything. But at the time, I think there was only a stretch of it that, when we looked at it the first time, there was only what we assumed was maybe 400 or 500 feet that was damaged or plugged. So at that time, it was recommended, I think, just to replace that. And then once we got further along, more of the tile was found to be plugged or damaged, more tile was removed and no longer able to serve in any capacity whatsoever. Now you're well beyond half of it was either not there or damaged that we knew of for sure. So now we're at the point where it makes the most sense to replace for the whole length of it. And then you can get a little bit more cover on it by flattening the grades.
I think anybody would almost agree that it made more sense 10 years ago or 20 years ago to replace it all, because for how long it hasn't worked. When it was 1914, I don't know anybody that keeps tile around that long, and we need more cover up there, for sure. Otherwise it's just going to be a disaster.
So what's your recommendation? What would you do now?
I don't know why you would bother replacing the tile if the private ditch is going to stay open. If you wanted to make some arrangements to have that as part of the district.
But will the NRCS allow that? NRCS wouldn't allow that, because it's giving an improvement to the tile.
Whole district, if that's the case.
Sure, it's improving the whole district, whether the tile's there or not, though. What does it mean? I'm just asking.
Apparently, they don't think so, which obviously it does, but.
Okay.
Well, I know we'll have a ticked off neighbor to the south. He's very happy that he's now getting drainage.
Yeah, that horse pasture, I
Yeah.
remember that was always flooded out too. Yeah, there was just no outlet other than the tile until.
Right.
But as far as maintaining a district drainage way, I guess if you're not going to do the conversion of the private ditch, then yes, you'd have to look at putting a tile in it.
You got his number? the NRCS guy? I wonder if we couldn't give him a call so we can clarify that.
Andy, what, in your option one costs, you had some easement costs. What was that for?
Since the alignment of the proposed tile line wasn't going to be in the original alignment of the original tile, technically you should get an easement where the new alignment was to make sure you have one. They've always they were somewhat implied, somewhat obtained when things were first established. But now that you are putting it in a different location, there technically wouldn't be one at the new location.
515-295-5156.
Nine?
Mhm.
Brian?
I think it was Brian.
For calling the Kossuth County USDA Service Center. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time during this message. For the Farm Service Agency, press 2. For the Natural Resource Conservation Service or the Soil and Water Conservation District, press 3. If you do not... Wait while I transfer your call.
Elliot, you want to come up closer?
NRCS, this is Brian.
Hey, Brian, this is Winnebago County Supervisors.
Yeah.
And
How are we doing today?
good, yourself?
Oh, if it wouldn't be snowing, that would be better, but
Yes,
it is what it is, I guess, so.
Yeah. We have Elliot Evans here, and we're discussing the ditch that he dug, and has been in contact with you.
Yeah.
Can you give us some information on that?
Yeah, what would you like to know?
Is it in compliance? We're trying to decide what to do on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the drainage district.
Right,
Okay.
you're trying to decide if you can keep going with that ditch or just replace the county tile that's there.
Can the drainage district dump into that ditch with the tile that was already there?
I think, looking into it, I think to get, like for Elliot to get back into compliance, let's see, I'm trying to think here. I think if the tile was put back how it was and they dumped into that tile, it should be fine. I think that ditch would have to get closed back up because that ditch was not there initially. If my understanding was correct on that site, that there's the county tile that ran through there and dumped at that ditch on the west side, if I'm not mistaken. But then that ditch that got dug through the road ditch there, since that was never there. If my understanding is correct, that was never there previously, that they would have to block that off or do something to fix that. So.
Okay. If he wanted to keep that for his own personal use, could he?
He could. He would just have to get back into compliance with the Farm Bill program and everything. We'd have to do something with the wetland down there in the corner. But yeah, if he decided he wanted to keep that for his own use, I don't think that would be an issue. We just have to do some other stuff to get him back into compliance. But that shouldn't be a problem if we went that route.
It's classified as a wetland, but should it have been classified as a wetland if that tile had been working right?
We could sure, well, it should be a farmed wetland.
Yeah, it is a farm wetland.
Farm wetland, yeah. I think what the deal, let's see, based on even what the tile that was in there, previously, there wasn't the tile that was there wasn't enough to sufficiently remove the hydrology to make it considered to be prior converted. It was still showing up as having wetness signatures, whether drownouts or crop stress due to wetness, because there just wasn't, the tile system that was in place wasn't enough to make it prior converted. So at least the initial tile system was in place. So the issue we got was when additional tile was put in above and beyond what was already there.
Private tile.
Yeah, correct.
So was that due to not being put in right in 1914?
It could have been due to that. Could be due to maybe the outlet was poor. There could be, I mean, that's a lot of times we'll run into, not just with this situation, but others, that it's just the fact that the outlet wasn't functioning properly. Yeah, so
as it stands right now, then, to get back in compliance for the district, we need to put that tile in and get that repaired right. The original tile.
The original tile was put back how it was, yeah. But I know, like with Elliot's situation, then with the additional tile that was put in above and beyond, that's another separate situation that we got to work on.
Right, but that's separate than the county. The county don't have nothing to do with it. The county don't have nothing to do with my private tile I put in there. The extra tile I put in.
Yeah.
You know.
We're just trying to bring the district back into compliance.
Okay.
They would have, I think NRCS would have to look at this option 1 as well and confirm it would make things in compliance. I think it would be, but they would have to confirm it.
Because last time you said you thought it should be in compliance, option 1.
So we've got an option we're
should,
looking at
yeah.
that was engineered by Andy here that would, Andy, you want to explain it to him quick?
This is Andy Smith with WHKS. I put together a report regarding all this and a couple possible options for the county to consider. And one of them was to replace that existing 10-inch tile with a new 12-inch and put it in at a little bit flatter grade. And the idea would be that it would have similar capacities as that original 10-inch, but it would give a little bit more cover on the upper end. And I was just saying that option would still need to be, get your guys' blessing to make sure.
Yeah.
I think
that could be something we could definitely evaluate. I mean, if it's going to be, I don't think it would be an issue, especially if, even though the tile is going to be bigger, if it's going to be based on the grade and a similar capacity to what existed previously.
Correct.
I don't see why it'd be an issue. But yeah, we would look at it just we would check that just to make sure. So that we got all our bases covered.
Sure. Okay.
But Brian,
we would just need to get a copy of that so we could get that evaluated. So
sure. I can forward a copy of the report to you.
Yep, that would be fine.
But Brian, if that tile was working before they came out with that wetland determination, that made a big impact on it. Like we talked about before, right?
Yep, potentially.
Right. Yeah.
I guess from a trustee perspective, for me anyway, did that tile cause the wetland, or it should be wetland? That's what I'd like to know.
It's that's where I wish I had everything in front of me so I could kind of look at it. I'd have to look at it to see, I wish I had all that stuff in front of me to look at it. Yeah, I guess I don't know if the tile caused the that's just a wet area down in there, so it's, you know, because I can't give you a good answer whether the tile would have affected it or not,
Okay.
to be honest. Yeah. Without having all that stuff in front of me or to be able to look at that stuff.
Sure didn't help it any.
After you review Andy Smith's recommendation, is it possible for you to come to one of our meetings so we can go over this and make a decision what we want to do?
Yeah, I don't think that should be a problem. Yeah, I think I could probably make something like that work without a problem.
All right.
That's what we need to do. Yep.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Well, we'll be in touch. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep, bye.
All right, well, looks like he's got to get a report of that.
Yep, I'll send them over the report and kind of go from there.
Maybe you want to work with them and come up with what you think should be done, you know?
I have been working with him, and he was gonna make up a report or get his final decision, but every time I talk to him, so I haven't got to it yet, he's so busy, so that's what I've been kind of waiting for all along.
Well, that's where if we try to set up a meeting and push him to get it done.
Right, and I haven't been putting you guys off, I know you're thinking, well, God, what's taking Elliot so long? And I just been kind of waiting for Brian, you know, and,
Yeah. Okay, well, would you, CC us to, when you get it to them?
Yep.
Then we'll call them and set up a Tuesday, hopefully here next couple weeks.
Yep, that sounds fine.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep, thanks. Oh, yeah. Movie? Yeah. I think so. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say, I don't know. I don't know. Why?
This doesn't need a stamp, does it, the election?
I can run some estimates based on
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, all right. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, bye.
Hey, Jay, just gonna let you know, there's a local, student's gonna be going to Iceland this summer.
Poor soul. Ah, that's great.
Poor soul.
They can go to Iceland and Norway after graduation.
Is he gonna work or live there or
Well, he's just,
visiting?
yeah, celebrate his graduation, I guess.
That's the way to do it. I mean, there's like 50 million things to do up there. Go in the waterfall caves and on the glaciers and
Ed, how many times have you been there?
me, 10. I would, during the winter time, I would come here where it was colder and go to school, and I would go up there during the summer and I'd be on doing all kinds of things. All through my, actually, stand corrected, I'm close to about 14, because that, I've literally went every summer. up there and lived with my grandmother, and my mother would come along, sometimes my father. And we'd go off and do all kinds of whirlwind fun vacation.
It's on there. Should be anyway. Spit my coffee out.
Thomas Mike Stanford here. You can call me. 3055. Thank you.
Is it close enough?
If it would have stayed nice, they would have been moving.
Hi, Mike. This is Winnebago County. This is Carla and Mike and Terry and Bill, the supervisors, and then there's quite a few people sitting in the audience too.
Okay.
What are the parameters as far as policy book, from a legal standpoint, how to follow them? Do we have to follow them? Blah, blah, blah. I mean.
So generally when we're talking about our personnel policies, once we adopt them, we need to follow them. Now, can you modify those if you take it back to a public meeting and put an agenda item together that says we're going to modify this? Absolutely. We do that, you know, anytime there's changes in the law that are incorporated within your personnel policies. We'll bring it back, we'll make the modification, and then the board would approve the modification. And, you know, typically on the front of the handbook, then it says effective as of such a date or amended as of such and such a date. So you can definitely modify your personnel policies.
I'll give you the specific of what we have been talking about. We had an early retirement, and it fell within the policy book. So that was fine. Then we had another guy that wanted to retire early, and it didn't follow under the policy. And at the time, it seemed like it might be advantageous to the county to do it. And so how do you handle that situation?
Well, when you're talking about early retirement, that brings in a whole new idea of what we have to do legally to be compliant. So you developed a plan. I know county attorney looked over it. Carla sent it to us. We looked over it, made some modifications, because early retirement programs are one of those things that have had a lot of litigation in the past, and it's specifically under the Iowa statutes as to whether they're discriminatory based on age, because sometimes there was cutoff dates and things like that, that the courts have said you can't do that. If you're going to offer a program, you have to set the parameters, and then you have to follow those parameters. Anytime you deviate from the parameters, then you're risking somebody else saying, well, if you deviated for that, why won't you deviate for me? And then it opens yourself to any type of discrimination or many types of potential discrimination actions or lawsuits. And so we advise boards, school boards, city councils, all of the elected officials that if you want to go down the road and offer an early retirement, which is absolutely fine, you need to stay and follow what you adopt. Because there's always going to be the situation where somebody didn't qualify and wanted to take advantage of it. It just happens because you have to draw the line somewhere. It doesn't mean you can't offer another one. It doesn't mean you can't adjust it for another offering. But if you're going to do that, you still have to offer it to the group, the specified group that you want to offer it to.
So, what would happen if you didn't have a policy for that? And treated each one on an individual basis?
You'd be opening yourself up to a lot of liability. Because how are you going to choose who gets it and who doesn't?
Can you, obviously I don't know. Could you use the
I meant that as a rhetorical question. I wasn't being accusatory in any way. Don't take it that way. I'm just saying that's the problem for the board then. What criteria would we use? That's why we set up a policy with criteria.
Could you use the sole criteria if it's good for the county? If it's advantageous to the county?
How do you measure that?
Money.
I know, I get that. But what you got to do is then convert that to when you're looking at individuals. And if you have two people, let's say that one's a female, one's a male, same identical years of service, and you say it's okay for the one but not the other. Because one you can go without, the other one you can't go without. I mean, that's the perception of the board, right? I can almost guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you, I mean, but you have a substantial risk of litigation.
Well, wouldn't that be the same under our present policy? That if we wanted to keep one, because it was advantageous to keep that person for the county, couldn't they still bring suit and say you gave it to the one, but you're not giving it to me?
I guess I'm not following. Was somebody stay or something that didn't take it?
Well, you brought up a man and a woman, and we would give it to one but not the other because we wanted one of them to stay. Did I hear that right? I heard, yeah.
I guess my concern is, in looking at these, in some departments, it seems like, there may be somebody that's more valuable for us if they would stay, but we're still running that risk of litigation.
Right, because you're not drawing an objective criteria for qualification. It becomes a subjective criteria for qualification.
Well, could you expound a little bit on the example you just gave us? Because I might not have heard that right. I thought you said if there was two people that came for retirement, and the supervisor would give it to one and not the other, because, would you say that again, please?
Yeah, so let's say you had a male and a female that came in, or two male, it doesn't matter. If they have the same years of experience, they're IBRS qualified or eligible, and you said to the one, it's good for you and I'll do it, but I won't do it for the other one. And
what would be the reason we wouldn't give it to the other one?
So under the law, what happens then is the person alleges either maybe sex discrimination, age discrimination with the Iowa Civil Rights. And under the law, if they are in a protected class, so gender, anybody over 40, if they make that allegation that they did not receive a benefit and it was because of a protected characteristic, then under the law, what happens is the burden, they make that, they make that claim, so then it shifts back to us to show that it was not pretextual or that there is a legitimate, non-biased, non-discriminatory reason that we applied it from one to the other. And what you're saying is, well, the supervisors think that it was okay for one and not the other. I mean, that's a real gray area, guys.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around why we would deny it if all things being equal. I don't know why the supervisor would deny that.
Well, my question is, what happens if you have two people from the same department that came in, and you're going to be taking a small department to start with and taking two seasoned veterans out of there? You have to make a decision.
You don't give it to either one.
Well, or under a policy that you were going to redevelop or redesign, right? So I've done this in counties before. We just say that we're going to have an early retirement program, but here's our criteria. We have very objective criteria, and the first 5 employees that sign up are the ones that get it, because that's all the money we have to finance the early retirement of that program. So anybody, the first 5, it's basically, if you qualify, then it's the first 5 or the first whatever number that sign up and say they're going to take it, and then the early retirement program's closed.
Well, here's where I'm coming.
What you guys want is real flexibility in this, right?
Right, and here's where I'm coming from. If we stick with the existing policy, which is fine, I guess, but if there comes 2 years from now, there comes a person that wants to retire early, and it's a great advantage to the county, then we're stuck with the policy.
You know, you could modify the policy.
Well, then what good is a policy if you can modify it? I guess that's my question.
You guys can modify any policy that you want as it relates to a personnel policy. But what you can't do is modify it for Mike Galloway. When you modify it, you're modifying it for the whole group. For all of your employees.
Mike, when you say modify, that includes what we just did, offering early retirement for a short period.
Exactly. You guys just amended your policy to include for this last year or whenever you did the policy, right?
But it's not going forward.
Right. You know, you can have an ongoing early retirement program. The problem with that is it's not illegal, it's very legal. The problem is because school districts do it all the time, they have an ongoing early retirement program that is voted on typically each year by the school board. The board approves it and based on funding. But what we have to remember is if we have that every year, then it becomes a current liability, I believe, on your books for financial recording purposes. In other words, under the GASB 45 accounting rules, if people are eligible, the auditor's office in your finances is going to have to account for the possibility in that year that somebody's going to take it, that it is eligible.
Okay, so we changed the scenario. We changed the policy to make it specific to make it work for an employee that wants to retire. It's good for the county. So we changed it for the whole group.
Right.
2 years from now, somebody comes up with a different scenario and they want the policy changed and we don't, what keeps them from suing? Well, you changed it for that other person 2 years ago, why won't you change it for me?
But what you did that's different there is you applied the same criteria to everybody. You're under no obligation to change it again, or you can change it again. The other thing, that would just be like somebody wanted to come in and early retire and you never had a policy, but now you adopted one. Your chances of getting sued under your example there is slim to none. The key for early retirements are that you set objective criteria and that you apply it to the group as a whole.
This makes sense to me.
In that time period.
Right.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's what happened back then isn't what's now.
Right.
So if we were to adopt another one the first of the year or whatever, or the end of the year, you know, that would be for that.
As long as we applied it fairly now.
Well, I agree with that, but we're tailor making that, we're changing the policy and tailoring it to the person that wants to retire, applying it to the whole group, and then we're going on 2 years down the road, then we'll change the policy to tailor it to somebody else that we might want to retire. So it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other to me. I mean, we're tailor making it for a specific employee, and we apply it to the whole group until the next time.
But as long as we apply it to the whole group.
And it's in the best interest of the county.
Right.
I guess I'm not explaining myself very good. All right.
I don't know if I helped at all, but I think I hope it makes some kind of sense.
Well, I know where it comes from legally, so, yeah. Yeah. Any other questions for him? All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, have a good day, guys.
You too.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
The next possible time would be at the end of the year if we want to do it.
Would be budget time next year.
So, as I take it, you can't evaluate each individual retirement on a cost savings measure. It has to be evaluated as sort of a
No, we can.
entirety.
No, we can, but then we gotta apply it to everybody. That's what I did.
It has to be objective criteria
Right.
in the policy.
Not subject.
And so I don't see the difference between that and, tailor making for every employee, you know? Am I seeing it wrong?
Tailor making for every employee, but tailor making it for all of them. It's
At that time. And then another employee comes in, wants it just a little bit, you know, different. And so, okay, we'll tailor make it for him, but we'll apply it to everybody. So it makes it legal. I fail to see the logic in that.
But that's the difference is, like, if I was going to make this policy, I would make it because we need it at budget time, and then I would set the criteria, not because somebody asked for it, but because this is what the criteria is.
Yeah.
Not to tailor it for somebody, but to make a policy, and then whoever qualifies.
Somehow, if you want to save money, you're going to have to take averages or typicals and say, is it typically going to save money? You can't individually evaluate one employee versus the other on a cost savings basis.
Well, it probably won't save money every time.
No, and it didn't.
It may save money in this department, but it won't save money in this department. So you can't discriminate against the guy that it doesn't save money. Well, we're not going to do it for you because we're not going to save any money. We have to.
But we can discuss, you know, well, next time, are we going to limit it to so many people because of our...
Or the first come, first serve, you know, we're only going to allow so many, and this is... But water's good money.
Yeah. Well, then I guess just off the top of my head without thinking about it, there shouldn't be an early retirement policy.
In the policy manual, no, because you're modifying.
No, we shouldn't have one. We shouldn't have one.
Well, we don't have to.
Then it's fair for everybody.
Mhm.
You work until you wanna quit. But that's for you guys to decide. All right. I don't have any more questions. Very good.
Anything else anybody else wants to say?
Just have to wait till next budget time.
We'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Actually, Arnold just come out again and said that.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm back.
So they can come back, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Somebody left their coffee cup. I think it might be.
So much I'd like to say, but I'll just hold my tongue.
Say it. I'd like to hear it.
Taxpaying
If
citizens.
you set parameters, your employees have to accept those parameters, period. That's the parameters you set. If you're putting forward a goal as supervisors to save money for this organization, you set the parameters, those parameters have to be met. You cannot come in, accept the parameters, then turn around and want to change the game. Because it's not in the best interests of the county, period.
There's a reason we set those parameters.
Exactly. Those parameters are there for a purpose.
But you
So
know,
I agree with you that it doesn't make any sense to keep changing or tailor making things because now you're going outside of those parameters. So I agree with you, but I also agree with everybody else here that it needs to be fair, period. So the only way to do that is to quote unquote build the wall around what you're doing and don't let anybody climb the darn thing.
Well, if it's got anything to do with building a wall,
Okay, I'm sorry.
it's not gonna fly.
I apologize about that. Maybe it was a terrible analogy. How about building a fence around everything?
We need to stop those caravans.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just sat here and I was thinking to myself, okay, come on, really? It's enough of an accounting headache for her, and it's enough of a problem for everybody else who has to deal with budgeting. To have to sit there and bend rules just because somebody wants to make it their game and not anybody else's. So, that's how I feel, sorry.
I mean, we could put in there, if it's that tight of a budget cutting, it maybe only happens if we're eliminating a position within a department or something. That truly would be a savings.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you put that disclaimer on there. Then the department head will have to be decide whether they can take the loss in there.
Where I came from, wherever I've come from, you're trying to, early retirement is used in two ways. One, to bring down your payroll, but two, to also weed out employees who just become complacent. And yeah, you can run into all kinds of problems when you have a department that's getting smaller, but you want to get this one employee out of there because they're bogging the system down. So I can understand where he's coming from. But, oh well.
Hey, I got a question for you, again.
Sure.
The interviews you do with Riley Lewis on the history of Winnebago and that, is that available online here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I hadn't found it.
We will,
I didn't hear them all, and I missed a couple.
if it's not there, I will take some extra time because I have it available.
On the website then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will, if it's not there, I will put it up and make it happen.
Those are really good. I enjoyed, the one from last Saturday, was that from like Friday or something?
Yeah. Some of those he comes in and it's just like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like Saturday, I just sat there and
I don't know, Saturday's kind of a goof off day. I had my feet up and I was just listening to Riley talk about his thing, and like, normally I don't get into this, but this is pretty cool, you know? So.
And those speech things from the kids at school, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that veterans one, yeah. That got a couple people who were over on the other side of the glass. They were crying. They're like, oh my gosh, because it's pretty strong stuff. We did a series of poems with Forest City High School. I'm trying to get Lake Mills and North Iowa and everybody else to bring their speech kids to come in, but I just can't get any cooperation. I'd like to. It'd be fun. Because some of those kids have some pretty powerful speeches, and they need to be heard. But, I don't know, Forest City, Scott he floods me with 6, 7, 8 kids, and who all take state.
And it's a lot handier here.
Oh, yeah. And I can go out with this and do the same thing and record, and it's not a problem, you know, so. But, I don't know, we got a lot of good response out of that.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it. Motion by Terry, seconded by Bill to approve the payroll claims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.